Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're taking our first look through my more modern hardback books, fiction and non-fiction. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so I'm not really sure how many parts this is going to take, but there's not, on the face of it, a massive amount of books to do here, but I have filled up 2 comic boxes worth to have a look through. So I'll talk about the books and also we'll give them the once over and the clean as we go along as well. But I don't expect this to be a massively long video, but if you are in search of some longer cleaning action, over on my main channel, the day after this one goes out is my monthly pickups video for August 2023, and that video is 3.5 hours long, so plenty of cleaning action in there should you require a little bit more. So this one, in actual fact, it's a fantastic book, and I only picked it up about a year ago, so it's not too bad. I've already it's been through the system, but we'll give it once more the once over, in a very, very delicate paper dust wrapper. Unfortunately, it's got a bit of a rip on it, but I didn't really buy it for that. I wanted one in a wrapper, but it was really just for the amazing content. And I said we'll have a little look through these as we go along, and I've only just been able to get it in, but you can see for a while this is a 1940s edition, I believe. Oh, actually, this is 1963. I'm trying to think. It was the first illustrated edition was 1961, so I think for about 10 years, it must have been 61 to maybe about 68, 69, this book came out with these illustrations in, and that's the attraction. So they're all pretty much the same. You wouldn't need to get like all 9 or anything, but they all have these really, really nice illustrations, and that's the reason why. And you know, you look up some of these places now and they may not even exist, you know, or they've been swallowed up by other things. So at Plimpton, for example, which is near where I live, is now not classed as a separate area. It's just part of Plymouth. The same way back in the day it was a Plymouth, Devonport, Stonehouse were the 3 main areas, and Plimpton was something completely different. But yeah, it's a really, really nice book, and just recommended. It's just for the pictures more than anything, and the little write-ups on each thing. It is a really, really nice travel guide. Absolutely fantastic. As I said, any of the ones between 61 and probably about 69 will be absolutely fine. And they're all got this sort of similar illustrated insides. I know there are people who collect like the Michelin guides, for example, Michelin guides. And I remember my dad having a few of those in the car. But the AA ones, I mean, if you joined the AA for a long, long time, you got like an AA members book. But this was something a little bit different, and this was sold in more traditional sort of bookshops. I do remember, as a kid, seeing like whole shelves of AA related books and atlases, like in the travel agents, for example. They'd have like, you know, the AA book for France and Spain and Europe and things like that, you know. But this is a real nice one. It's not in the greatest of shape, but inside is absolutely fine. And as I said, it's not because the book is collectible or anything like that, because I'm sure they're not. These are less than a tenner a pop. It's just for that sort of amazing internal illustrations. Next then, we've got a few by, well, one of my favourite modern historians, which is a guy called Anthony Beevor, and he's written some fantastic books, and I've got a handful by him, and some were picked up when the books were published, others at second hand down the line. This is one on Arnhem. And you'll notice that I do have a bit of a soft spot for military history, on areas that I like, and also military historians who I like. So when I come across Anthony Beevor, particularly in hardback, I'll pick them up. But some of his key books, stuff like Stalingrad, which is perhaps one of the definitive books on that particular bit of the war, the Second World War, is so difficult to find in hardback first edition. I mean, it's quite a collectible, so I tend to just pick up, you know, the hardbacks when I see them, which isn't very often. But that was one I found. I was quite lucky. I found that in a charity shop, that one. This one I remember actually picking up brand new. I was in the book trade at the time, and I was quite surprised to see that foxing along the top there. So but I bought this when it was new. Look at it, spider web of some sort there. Yeah, £25, but I believe it was half price. But regrettably, I think it may have been stored in for a little while when I was moving house in a slightly damp environment, just for a small amount of time, and that's potentially affected this a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. But let's give it the flick through first of all. This one really got published on the back of the popularity of Band of Brothers, in all honesty. And but it's a great read. I've read it a couple of times. Even the audiobook is good, in actual fact, at this. One of the bits I vividly remember from it was it was on the eve of D-Day, and Eisenhower was in England, and he was with his generals, and I think there was the main British generals were there as well, and he was absolutely, he was beside himself with worry on the eve of D-Day. You would be, wouldn't you? And apparently he was quite a heavy smoker, and he had cigarettes lit in different parts of the room as he was walking around, like cigarette to cigarette. He was literally a nervous wreck, and that's in here. It's quite a good bit. So yeah, bit of a shame that I'm going to put my rubber on it just to see if it makes any sort of difference ever so slightly. Blooming shame, because it's a first print. As I said, they're not really worth anything, but you know, it's a shame that this has happened. But that's why we're going through these. One of the other books we got coming up, when I've picked it up, I realised I probably didn't buy it when it was new. I probably got it online. We'll get to it in a minute. And it's also done that. It's got a little bit of spotting. And I think it's also partly because books of the last, say, 15 to 20 years, more and more frequently are being printed on recycled paper. And particularly with the paperbacks, the books are just not surviving how they used to, shall we say. They're not, they're just starting to spot a bit easier. Right, another absolute epic tome here by Anthony Beevor. This is the last one I've got by him. Once again, I bought this one when it came out. It's his overview of the Second World War. Absolutely fantastic. I've not actually read this in hardback because it weighs a ton. So I have a paperback of this one which I've actually read through and destroyed, you could say, because it's a huge book, and you can just lose yourself in this until you're done. You know, he is a great storyteller, and he still manages to find 2012, this one, he still manages to find interesting information about something that you think you know at all, you know, a particular battle or something that's gone on, and it's just a testament to his research more than anything. Yeah, that wasn't bad. It's got some cobwebs of dust on the bottom here. How dare it. So yeah, you will see the odd military history book as I go through my hardbacks, and of course we've got my much more modern fiction as well. So we've got quite a few decent authors to go through and clean up. Some of them I've got really big runs of, like Andrea Camilleri, for example, who did the Montalban books. So we've got all of that to come. But here is another one of my sort of favourite historians, actually, Max Hastings. And Max Hastings was editor of the Times for a while. He was a BBC journalist, worked for the BBC. I don't know who he works for now. I think he's just an author, but you could say he was a historian. When the BBC did their documentary series on the First World War, this is the 1960s one, just called The Great War. It's absolutely brilliant. It's about 26 parts. Max Hastings was a very young researcher on that at the time. But there he is. I think the first time I ever saw him was during the Falklands conflict, when he went out with the British forces with the Navy and was reporting it literally in the middle of battle. Absolutely fantastic. Unforgettable. Look at it, like a huge run of books that he's done there. And yeah, but his Vietnam one, this is excellent. Really excellent. So worth grabbing. Some of these I've had signed. This one wasn't a signed one. I got it given to me as a present, but I remember at the time there were some signed ones going around. I do wish I picked one up. But there you go, you can't have it all. Right, next a couple by Norwegian Thor Heyerdahl. Now Thor Heyerdahl did Kon-Tiki. The Kon-Tiki expedition was the one that made him famous, and but my favourite of his is one called Aku Aku, which is his exploration of Easter Island. So this is a genuine old book. It is only the book club edition, but I don't mind. I'm not too worried about that. In actual fact, the first prints of these aren't that expensive. In actual fact, so maybe I should try and track them down. But I really, really like these, and they make a great read. And if you've never read Aku Aku in particular, his sort of exploration of Easter Island, it's really, really recommended. It's a great read. Really, really nice penguin as well. Wow. So this is one, obviously it's older, so it's carrying a little bit of dust. And the board, it's got that, you can hear it, it's like a cloth board, but really nice with the emblem in the middle there. That's okay. And the dust wrapper's not bad. It's, as I say, it's just the book reprint. It's just the book society choice, the book club. But I don't mind. It's just a nice edition to have. Don't think I paid much for it. Just probably in a charity shop or something like that. But that's absolutely fine. That one. And almost like the companion to it is this one, which is the one I was just going on about, which is Aku Aku, the secret of Easter Island, which is a great one. And yeah. Once again, I think this is, it's the book club edition, Reader's Union. But that doesn't matter. I just wanted a hardback version of it more than anything. The Polynesian emblem there as well. This was partly responsible for the tiki bar craze in the 50s and 60s, particularly in America. Tiki. These older books benefiting from a good brush, as you might expect. But yeah, Thor Heyerdahl, what a guy. The Aku Aku, yeah, I do make a point. Books I really, really love, I do try and track down in their true first edition, and I may give that a go, because I can't imagine it's big money. Now this is not big money, but it's a darn big book. This is Ian Kershaw's unbelievable history. Well, it's not unbelievable, it's just an incredible history of Hitler. This came out as 2 paperbacks originally, quite a while back, and then it got revised, added to, and then released as this somewhat epic hardback here. And then it really is quite something. I mean, what a figure of history, really, and as I said, Ian Kershaw virtually devoted his life to telling Hitler's story, and look at the size of it. But it is really, really something. So much in here, and loads on his early life that you just wouldn't have known, or really, But obviously, you can see it's a huge town. I don't know how big it was. I said it was originally 2 books, so why they decided to put it into one, I don't know. Yes, it is literally just over 1,000 pages, but it's it's truly something. This, and if you want to study of the fascist dictator, this is it. I tell you, this is really it. So quite something. Probably from my kids when they were younger. That's why the last time I read this. Brilliant. I shall dig these out and show it to them. Amazing what you find in these old books, isn't it? There we are. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, quite something, that Hitler book. It really is. Then the last one on this stack is this. So this is one of my favourite 60s groups. Well, my top group from the 60s is the Beatles. It's without doubt it is the Beatles. However, other groups that are really high up there that started in the 60s and somewhere into the 70s as well would be the Doors, very much on that list, and Pink Floyd, and a lot of others, to be honest. But the Doors are in my top 5 groups ever, I think, and this one only came out last year, and it's by Robbie Krieger. That's the guitarist in the band. He was one of the youngest in the band, and this one's signed by him. Got a signed copy, which is quite nice. I've got the John Densmore one as well. He was the keyboardist, who I really liked. But that's not signed. But that's, yeah, so as I said, that's only a year old, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. So cool stuff. And that, believe it or not, is the first pile already done. Blimey, look at that. Right then, so stack number 2, and when we're all done, I am going to go back and give the covers a polish on the glossy ones. Anyway, so this is the first one by David Kynaston, Austerity Britain. So as far as I know, they're going to be a series of books which cover from the end of the First World War up to when Maggie Thatcher becomes PM, which is in, I think, 1979. I see this one's actually signed. I forgot this was signed, in actual fact. I know I've got one of the later ones signed. I didn't realise this actually was signed, so that's quite good. And once again, it's British social history, really. It's absolutely stonking read. Very, very, very good. Penguin Books are mentioned quite a bit, actually, in this, because they were such a force at the time. And he looks at all aspects of media, the rise of television coming in over the years, politicians, what's happening in Britain post-war. It's really, really fascinating. Once again, this particular one, because they're massive, I've got them in paperback as well. There we are. So that wasn't too bad. It was just at the top of the spine. It was dusty, but as I'm going to go back and give these a polish at the end, just to give them the final once over. Now this is one that I think ironically I sold it at the time. This is book 2, and I think it was one I must have got off eBay, because I don't know, it's not looking perhaps quite as mint. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's not signed. I have met him. I did a book signing with him, in actual fact, at Dartington, probably 15 years ago. When did this one come out? This was 2009, so this is 14 years ago. Yeah, he was speaking at the Dartington literary festival, and he signed on our stall. I was working for Waterstones back then, and I was looking after the show. I'm trying to remember which book was new when that one came out. It might have been this next one. Possibly, yeah, because it's signed by the author at Waterstones. I think this was the one that was out. I mean, this is a great picture, because it's, opening the box. It's the star of the family that's sitting around the TV with the comics there on the floor. It's a great picture. Looks like they're watching Bill and Ben. Something like that. Very, very good, this. But I must check, because I don't know if he has written any more, if any more have come out. Because this was the first one that I felt was a decent size, but it was probably designed to be a big thickie, the next 2 books. So there we are, yeah, his signature there. So when was this one then? When was this published? Mr. Mannering, 2013, so this is 10 years ago. Once again, bit of glue, actually, a bit of binding glue. Get rid of that. So that's not too bad. And then this is the most up-to-date one that I've got, at least, but I don't know if he's actually written any more. So after we've done this one, I'm going to stop and see if there's any more after this. Yes, this is Modernity Britain, book 2. Yeah, so the last 2 books we've seen were designed, I think they were originally thought to be one big thick volume, and then they were split into 2. This is not signed, and this came out, was this the same year? This is the year after. Very, very good. Yeah. See, that one's actually actually got a little dink in the top of the wrapper there, which is a shame, but I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to see if he's written any more. Well, would you believe it? His next one, which is called A Northern Wind, I've just seen it on Amazonia here, A Northern Wind, Britain 1962 to 65, has just been published in hardback, and it was published in the 28th of September 2023. So it's literally just come out, yeah, by Bloomsbury, just been published. 704 pages, so it looks like it's going to be another big thickie. So how fantastic. That's taken some time, isn't it? But that will be on the Christmas list. Now, this is a really good book, and I love books which have got a lot in them, if you know what I mean, sort of loads of detail, stuff that you can dip in and out of. And there is a story behind this book as well. So let me flick through first of all. So obviously it's First World War, Tommy's War, and you'll realise that it's extracts. Well, it's in actual fact, it's a complete diary of Tommy Livingston, and he kept a diary, amazingly, during the First World War. He wrote postcards home as well, and you see he got these really, really nice little illustrations. As you can see, this is what they were like. He would send them home, and they were all saved. And there was a programme in Britain, a TV programme called The Antiques Roadshow. And what happened was these were all put into like a diary, in effect, in like a book. And there we are, 1913 to 18. And someone turned up at the Antiques Roadshow and showed the original diaries, and there was somebody there. There was someone who was like a publisher or something like that, and they swooped down on it. So, oh wow, that is fantastic! Can we reprint them? And that's exactly what they did with a foreword by Andrew Marr there, and that's the full diaries there. Absolutely superb they are as well. Very poignant in places. Obviously, he saw a lot of atrocities, but he did survive the war, and it's a really nice sort of personal record. So Tommy's War, you can get it in softback nowadays. As I said, definitely if you can get the hardback, it's a really, really nice edition, as you can see there. So a recommended little tome, that, if you like books on the First World War. Now, this is quite an interesting one. It's quite an early book as well. It's The Nile, the life story of a river, by Emil Ludwig. It's the Viking Press. Now, this is an early book. And as you can see, 1937. Look at it. It's the history of the River Nile. Fantastic little book. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous tome. It's one I found like at a boot sale or something like that. Couldn't believe it. I thought, this is just lovely, absolutely lovely. So yeah, 1937 Viking. It's the American first printing. Now, it's got, you can't really see it, but it's got on the boards here, it does say the Nile. And almost certainly this would have had a dust wrapper when it was brand new. Surprisingly, even though that looks dirty as anything, not a lot's actually come off it. Oh, quite a bit off the bottom there. That's weird, isn't it? Maybe it's in the way it's been stored. There we are. That's about as clean as I'm going to get it. God, all these books weigh a ton. Now, this next one was another one, which was it's sort of like a TV tie-in. In fact, yeah, it is. Thankfully, it tells us. So, A History of the World in 100 Objects. Neil McGregor, based on the celebrated Radio 4 series, BBC Radio 4 series. So what they did, they went to the British Museum in London, and which has got an incredible archive, as you can imagine, and they chose 100 objects from that museum and did like a short, I mean, you could get this on a podcast, they did a short like 5 to 10 minute like podcast, which is also, this is the accompanying book to that, on the different objects from the museum. And absolutely fascinating, as you can see. And in fact, I went into the British Museum and actually saw the 100 objects out on display. And I knew a bit about, as you can see, they're very, very short. The podcast is only about 10 minutes describing the item. But this was the tie-in book to the series. And as I said, you can get the whole lot as a podcast on BBC Sounds. And I very much recommend it. It's History of the World in 100 Objects. It's definitely worth your time. Yeah, very, very good stuff, that. Well worth tracking down. But this was the original hardback, and once again, it weighs a ton. There we are. Whew. Right. Now we've actually got another old book, which is this, The Sky Suspenders. This is Drew Middleton, who I think wrote a book or two for Pan Books, at some point. But the Battle of Britain, May 1940 to April 1941. Britain was struggling. We had our RAF were very much under pressure at that point. And this is what they called the Battle of Britain. And thankfully we survived it. And this is just a little look at that particular conflict. Yeah, look, the British. That's the one that came out as a pan. So I don't think I've ever cleaned this one. It was given to me by a friend of mine. It's got some little bit of dust in the rails, as they call it. Same on this side. Not the best made book compared to some of the ones we've seen today. This wrapper's thankfully in one piece there, which is nice. It's an original first edition. It's just another nice sort of history book. As I said, I don't mind military history. I've got a fair run of it. Well, you would have already seen that if you've watched the older videos in paperback. I don't have a lot in hardback. There's more I would like, but military history is one of those subjects that lots of people seem to buy and then they keep it. They don't get rid of it, and well, there you go. Right, the last book before we go back through and I give some of these a bit of a polish is this one, which is The Life of Philip K. Dick, the man who remembered the future. This is a nice book, and it was given to me by very early on in the life of my channel by a viewer called Tris Thompson. He's a real horror, I would say he was more a horror specialist than science fiction, but he sent me this one on Philip K. Dick because he knows I do like reading him and have done in the past. And what an interesting guy he was. And he didn't really get much massive recognition in his own lifetime, unfortunately. He saw a bit of it, but he never really saw the peak of his fame, and that's always a shame, isn't it? But happened with so many of them, didn't it? But yeah, that's absolutely fine. And as I said, that was a gift very early on in the days of the channel, of my main channel. And I said, from Tris Thompson. So Tris, if you're watching, I've still got it, and this is a nice book, this one. Right, so there we are. So that's all the books done, but we're going to now need to give them, some of them, a quick polish. So let's get that organised now. Right, so we go back in reverse order, as it were, and you'll be pleased to see I've given my duster a bit of a holiday, because after last week, when I cleaned all, after my recent pickups video, which was epic, this one, honestly, I thought it was fit for the bin. I thought we were going to have to put it out of its misery, but no, it survived to live another day. Right, that's it. That one was a beauty, so didn't expect any issues with that. Now this one, of course, has got a paper jacket, so there's nothing I can do with that one at all. This one is the same. It's not got a glossy jacket, so we're going to leave that. The same with the Nile. This one's okay. I'll give this one a little wipe over. Not that it's too bad. but I have read it twice now, this one. I said you can get in paperback, but you'll probably find the hardback fairly reasonably priced on eBay with a bit of searching, you know. Just give these a cursory fingerprint check. Yeah, I'm really pleased I checked that he's got a new one. First one, it must be in 9 years. So what are the chances that it came out literally the week that we were cleaning these? So yeah, that's very cool. And a big thickie as well. I bet that's going to be very, very interesting. Thing was, with these first two, they were so thick. They did make reading them quite tricky. Much easier in paperback form to read, you know. But I don't mind reading a big thick book. But the book I'm reading at the moment, in fact, is over 600 pages, and I'm reading it in bed every night. And my missus is reading on the Kindle, and I'm there moaning about the weight of a book. And she said, "Oh well, I don't have these problems with my Kindle." I'm like, yeah, okay. Friendly banter, shall we say? Friendly banter. I'm not having that Kindle argument, but Kindle can be really good in certain circumstances. It really can. Little mark on the front here. There we are. Yeah, the Kindle can be great, particularly when you're traveling. I mean, fantastic when you're traveling. Although I still tend to take physical books. It's just more of what I prefer to do, you know. Right. So again, this should be absolutely fine. So it's just any like minor surface marks. Now, can't do anything with the Hitler book. Ooh. And the two Thor Hardels are the same. Got the Max Hastings. So hopefully next week, what I'll do, I'm planning to do some more paperbacks next week with a bit of luck. Now I am off to London. My main channel's got a sponsor, and they're sending me to London to film the London Comic Con, if you can believe it. Absolutely amazing news, which will be public by the time this video goes out. Although you might hear it here first. So that's going to be really super cool. So as you can imagine, it's going to eat into quite a bit of my time, which may affect this channel. So what I'm going to do, just in case, I'm going to go back to some of my cleaning videos on my main channel where I did my monthly pickups, right back to a few years ago when I started doing them, and I'm going to edit them so that it's just the cleaning part of the video rather than me talking about all the new books that I've picked up, like new books for review. It'll be older books being cleaned for the very first time, and there's some really, really good stuff in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and I'll edit one of those for next week, possibly, if I don't have time to do the paperback, because I've got a lot of stuff to do in preparation for the sponsor and for me going away. So it's going to eat into my time a little bit, but it will definitely be worth it. And well, I hope you don't mind too much. Don't forget, there's a huge back catalogue on this channel even now. We're almost at 100. I think we are over 100 videos now, so that's definitely plenty that you've probably missed. But there we go. So look, that's it for today. As I said, 2 big boxes of huge hardbacks. Loads more of these to come. Probably another, I don't know, another 5 videos just to get through it, maybe 6 with all the modern first editions and autobiographies and biographies we got to come as well. Loads more signed stuff as well to look at. So hope you found that at least a bit interesting. I think the books are interesting in their own right, and that always makes for good fun videos. Thanks for watching today. If you've enjoyed it, give the video a thumbs up, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.